live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, live and in living color on YouTube. Hold on one second. Let me add some color to the show.
There we go.
Let me add some color. I did not spend 20 minutes scouring the internet after the show last week to find a suitable image that will serve as the background for both this week and next week's show. It is the Barbenheimer Sleepless with Steve special. Two-part special tackling Barbie this week, Oppenheimer next week. Two movies that need no introduction, and cumulatively, and at least in America at the box office this weekend, made about $240 million combined. That was good enough for the fourth largest weekend box office in history when you factor in all the other releases that are across the board, because there's more than just these two movies in theaters, but you wouldn't know it if you live on the internet. Good to be with you wherever you may be, however you may be listening to the show tonight, whether you're at work listening to the show with one earbud in very discreetly. Shout out my girlfriend, Catherine. Or you're watching us stream live on YouTube. Grateful that you're here. Joe Viso, Dominic Guanzon. This is also a really nice show because it's the first show that we've been together, I feel like, since Christ lost his sandals. You know, had to get some sound of freedom mentioned in the show today. Where do you get
that? Christ lost his sandals.
My mother always said that growing up, and I never realized how kind of uncouth it was until I started saying it. And I'm like, because people always give me second looks, but I like to use it when I can. But we are. It's one of my favorite sayings. It's one of my favorite sayings, especially when I haven't seen somebody in a long time. But we are all three of us are together. It's a good feeling. It's good to be back together on the show. And again, two big movies that we are talking about this week. I don't feel bad. I don't really feel bad that we're not covering both in one movie, or in one show rather, because I feel like these are two really lofty movies. There's a ton to talk about. Yeah. And I didn't want to feel like a stone was unturned with either one of them.
Each one, I'm seeing Oppenheimer Friday. But I still feel like each one needs their own show at this point.
I don't like double feature. I understand the meme of doing a double feature, and more power to you if that's a whole night that you planned with your friends. I can't do it because I feel like you're shorting both movies in your headspace at that point.
Yeah.
And it's I want to enjoy both. I want it to sit with it, monetize, and
completely
really
agree.
take in all of the deep thought that comes with Barbie.
Yeah, a few of my friends did it. Luckily for me, I should have had photos prepared to share.
I would do it if I know I'm gonna watch it again later. If I had the time to okay, I'm gonna actually sit down and watch Oppenheimer and actually watch it. If I'm screwing around with friends, yeah.
No, if it was a home viewing, but the first time viewing, I had two of my friends do it, and originally I wanted to do it, but I got invited to a birthday party for a Barbie screening. And then an after party at her house after, she called it her dream house viewing experience or whatever. And so we were oh yeah, that'll be cool. So I had to tell my friends hey, I can't do the double feature. But after seeing Barbie, I was nah, you know what? I'm kind of glad I didn't do it, because it's I would have been thinking about the one I saw second to last, because when I left Barbie, there was so much to talk about, and I was this is
Also, Oppenheimer's 3 hours.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's 3 hours.
Yeah.
Who has the time for this? God.
A buddy of mine at the theater, we saw, we didn't plan it, but we were both going to the same showing of Barbie. He works at the theater, but he was off on Thursday. And he asked me, he was are you going to see Oppenheimer afterwards? And I said, no, man, I'm seeing it tomorrow. I said, I'm not seeing both in one day. He did. And I'm that's valiant, man, because I said, Barbie's almost 2 hours long. Oppenheimer's 3 hours long. And I'm of the same belief as you, Dom, when it comes to double features. Especially as somebody who goes and then writes a whole review of the movie, I would rather be clear-headed and focused on a singular movie when I returned from the theater. One of the few times I actually did a double feature, it wasn't bad, but it was something, it was by the end of the second movie, I was I know why I don't do this often. I remember it was 10 years ago. It was The Purge, the very first Purge movie, which was only like 96 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I went over to Frances Ha, which is coincidentally a
Greta
Greta
Gerwig.
Gerwig movie. Greta Gerwig movie, Frances Ha. I saw those two, and Frances Ha is only like 82 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So that was like over like, little maybe over sitting in a theater like for just over 3 hours, but it was also something, it was just a time thing for me. It was early June. There was a lot of movies out, but it's not something I do often. So I'm glad I split these movies up. Saw Barbie last Thursday, saw Oppenheimer last Friday. And you know what actually really helped? I don't know if they have these types of screenings for you guys back home. At least I don't remember them being too prevalent back home. I think I did see this for the Indiana Jones movie, though, when I was back home. I've really liked they usually have one of them every day. And for big movies like Barbie and Oppenheimer, I like the showings that have the closed captioning on the screen.
Huh.
And I opted for that for Oppenheimer. And I almost did it. Like, as soon as I saw it, that Oppenheimer had an open caption screening, I jumped on it because I was like, man, if it's anything like 10, it would burn every 5 friggin' minutes. I was like, I'm going to need subtitles. But no, Oppenheimer's a lot easier to understand than Tenet was. But I don't know how you guys feel. Everything Everywhere All at Once I saw with captions on and stuff. I like that. I kind of wish more movies did that.
Anytime we've watched a streaming movie, or back in the COVID days where, we would pay for the movie and whatnot, and watch it at home, I always watched it with subtitles. I just prefer it. It's like, I know there's people that like can't like keep it on because it distracts them. It's like I could just do, I don't know how. It's like I could do a quick glance, read it, and just watch it play out. I don't know how I do it.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I watch pretty much everything with subtitles, save for like the news. I don't watch for whatever reason. I think it's because everybody just
there's already enough stuff going across the screen.
The only thing I don't watch with subtitles is reality TV, because I don't want to get the surprises spoiled of when someone doesn't get chosen.
That's a good point. We got a lot to discuss, though, today between Barbie and the box office, too. But first things first, start with Dom. We didn't see you last week, man. How are you doing? How is the thick of your summer? We're almost approaching the dog days of summer. How is it?
Real thick. It's about as thick as the air is right now here in Chicagoland, and it's happened. Years stop coming and they don't stop coming. And I've never felt that lyric more. I've always maintained that All Star really is a defining song for the 2000s and a generation. It's a meme, but also kind of not. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it now, but that's okay. I've got good family and friends. I found a lot of good support in the past week alone. And I feel like I'm sharing a lot more than I have before. Really a lot of change coming. I'm being very vague, but I'm feeling it. And therapy, wonderful, beautiful thing. Please go, even if you don't think you have problems, because you do. But it's good. It's good. Mental health.
Wish you nothing but the best, brother. Really glad you're here today.
Yes. No, honestly, I was looking forward to this. This is far from a burden. I just didn't have the energy to like, oh, dude, if I had, so I was not able, unfortunately, to go dress up for Barbie, but I did have a whole thing. I still have the costume planned out, and I didn't have the energy to do it today. Maybe I'll do it next week for Oppenheimer. We'll see. Just up like that for the Oppenheimer review.
I saw plenty of people doing it, man. I literally saw people in pink.
I've seen like I've seen like Two-Face costumes where it's like yeah. I've seen everything, man. It's good. I'm loving it. I am loving it. And if you're sick of Barbenheimer hype, you need to like work more, because like this you're probably in high school or college, and I understand that if you're sick of it. If you're in your like 20s and 30s and you're working hard, this has been excellent. The marketing and the hype or the culture around Barbenheimer has been excellent. It's just obviously my point of view, but gentlemen, would you agree with that? It wasn't too much.
I loved it. I mean, I think this. We'll talk more about it with the box office analysis.
Yeah,
this was one of This will go down. I've been seeing movies in theaters now since I was very young and regularly on a weekly basis for about, I would say about 15 years now, almost about 14, 15 years, something like that, on a regular basis of going to the theater. This will be a weekend I will always remember.
Same.
I will always remember this weekend. It's not like I did anything really special, but, and I'm kind of showing my poker hand here if you didn't already see my reviews, I cannot remember the last time that the two of the best movies of the year came out on the same weekend.
Yeah.
I really cannot remember when that last happened. And if it did, it was in the late part of the year when traditional awards contenders generally come out. This was an amazing weekend. And the thing I love about this, like the internet culture around Barbenheimer, is like there's all the memes and everything, but I think the one thing nobody's talking about is that it's like overwhelmingly positive, which is so refreshing. It's not just the movie, but it's the reception of the movies, but it's the memes themselves. Like after like, if you remember, God, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. If you remember like the Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 memes, the Morbius memes, like the relentless, even the Oogie Loves Big Balloon Adventure. Now I'm going real into the deep cuts.
You're deep in it. This is the iceberg of fucking movie fanatics.
The movie is the butt of the joke, right?
Yes. Yeah. Where this though is like people are celebrating this. This got people out to the movies. It's extremely rare, obviously, to see a movie like this make 9 figures, and then the movie behind it makes well over $50 million. It's and the movie that made $80 million this week is a 3-hour R-rated biopic set largely in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Like it's incredible. It truly is. Before we start our review of Barbie, Joe, how are you?
I'm doing great. I can't wait to talk about this movie. I had a very fun weekend with it. I did a private screening. Well, I didn't do it. My friends did it. And then we went to their house afterwards and did karaoke. I sang Push by Matchbox 20. And if you know why, you know why. And so I just had a good weekend, man. And it brought, to kind of just piggyback off of what Steve and Dom have been saying, this just made me happy to see, man, because it was like, this whole year we've been experiencing, like, I've been getting tired of reading the analysis articles of, are movie theaters dying? It's like, no, we just need something really good to come out that just kind of gets people going, yeah, I'll go to the theater to see that, because frankly, a lot of shit that was coming out these last few weeks was a lot of things people would be like, well, I'll just wait for that to come to Disney Plus. Well, I'll just wait for that to come to HBO Max. It was like stuff people didn't really like ask for, or it was like we were getting a lot of already, superhero movies, all that stuff. But Barbie and Oppenheimer really felt like cinematic events, and that is due to, of course, their directors and the approach that they took with these films. Again, I still haven't seen Oppenheimer, but just going off of what Nolan has done his whole damn career in terms of filmmaking, I'm just basing it on that too. So I was just happy this weekend. I had a great time this weekend. This was probably my favorite time to ever go to a theater, like in a very long time, man. Like,
would it be safe to say this is the first post-COVID like come back to the theater?
I would say honestly it was No Way Home.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I thought that brought out so many different generations of people with the Tobey Maguire movies, Andrew, and then the Tom Holland films.
You're right. Yeah.
But this, I would say, like, without using a comic book property, hell yeah, absolutely. Maybe Mario, but I felt more of an impact here just because of the 2 different audiences that you had.
I think you put. Think of a 5th one, and then you have your top 5.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Probably Avatar, because when I went to when I went to go see Avatar and that crowd was actually like that theater was packed, I was actually genuinely surprised. I was like really hoping that movie would do well and everything too. Anyways, regardless of all that, I'm excited to review the movie, so I'm gonna stop talking so we can get to the actual movie.
Let's talk Barbie, boys. The hype train is a dangerous thing to hop aboard. It's really how I started my review at stevepulaski.com. When speed starts picking up on a hype train, whether it be for a movie, a show, a video game, a book, whatever it is, the potential for things to go off the rails really does increase. And thankfully, Greta Gerwig's Barbie, probably the most anticipated movie of 2023 alongside Oppenheimer right here. That's not the case of overhype. I was really like ecstatic yet relieved to find that out pretty early into the movie, and just how I got on this movie's wavelength almost immediately, and went along for what was a really fun ride. It's visually compelling for a movie that looks plastic. It's very, very, it's very, very visual. There's a lot of visual humor in this, but there's also a lot of really exuberant and imaginative storytelling that I think makes this movie really fun. It's a fish out of water story in so many ways, with Barbie played by Margot Robbie and Ken played by Ryan Gosling, going from Barbie Land to the human world, and realizing that the human world does not function really quite like Barbie Land. There is mainly because unlike in Barbie Land, the human world is largely run and dominated by men, and which leads to some very funny, very satirical, pointed jabs from Gerwig and writer and co-writer Noah Baumbach, who has been her partner for over 10 years now. But there's so much to talk about with this movie, whether it's the soundtrack, which is just such a banger after banger on the soundtrack. My radio station, actually, we did a Barbie vinyl giveaway this past weekend.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And every hour we got like 10 songs from the soundtrack that we just put into rotation. And we had Push by Ryan Gosling. We had Dua Lipa's song. We've had Dua Lipa's song Dance the Night for quite a while too, but we had Lizzo's song Pink. We had so many different songs. So it was really fun. It was like really a cool opportunity for like radio, selfishly speaking, to like seize this pop culture moment, since I'm on a pop station. But yeah, back to the movie, though. A lot of good performances in this. Dua Lipa actually acts in this thing. You have America Ferrera, too, who exists in the human world, with her daughter. One of my favorite characters in this movie is, she's not in it for a ton, but I've loved her. I've loved her since really Ghostbusters, is Kate McKinnon. Kate McKinnon is so wonderful as Weird Barbie.
Yeah.
And that is Weird Barbie is a Barbie that was played with too rough in the human world. So she almost kind of, you know what she looked like to me? The first one I saw her, you know what she looked like? She looked like the doll Cynthia from Rugrats. That's what she looked like.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a deep cut right there. She looked like Cynthia. She's got like the ragged hair, the disheveled appearance, the marker-laden face. Looks like a child played with her too rough. Kate McKinnon's funny as hell, even a little bit dark in this thing. And then you also have Will Ferrell. And some people I think would come after me for saying this. This is Will Ferrell's funniest performance in, I'll say it again, Christ lost his sandals. Like, Will Ferrell, he plays the CEO of Mattel in this movie, and I see his like performance and his characters kind of gotten mixed reception online. I thought he was great. I thought this was the first time in a long time that he was actually bolstered by some really good writing and some really fun writing too. There's a multitude of different directions. Simu Liu also too plays one of the Kens, as well as Kingsley Ben-Adir. There's a multitude of different directions we can take Barbie. I will leave Joe to decide where we go next on the movie.
I'm going to just kind of start with performances as well, because how can you not with a cast like this? I think Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were perfect. I know there was a lot of people like kind of saying, is Ryan too old for the role of Ken? And if you go see this movie, he shows you why he was given that role. There's like early talks already about him being Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards, and dude, man, honestly, he's got my vote. There are Ryan Gosling performances that I love where he's the very neutral face looking deadpan at the camera. Drive, Blade Runner 2049, and then there's performances like The Nice Guys and Barbie from Ryan Gosling that I absolutely love, because it shows just how much acting chops this guy has.
Yes,
it's insane to say that like Ryan Gosling as Ken might be a performance people might study in the future in terms of like character acting, just how much he really dedicated himself to the role. And that's not to say that Margot doesn't do it either. Margot is perfect as Barbie, man. She is literally, I mean, looks like a Barbie, and just the way she carries herself, the way that Margot has always put herself into a role with Harley Quinn, with Tanya Harding, everything she's played at, she's really always dedicated herself to the role. I know Steve said the same thing I did. When they dropped that image at CinemaCon in like 2021 of her in that pink convertible, I was like, they got it. This is going to be a good movie. Yep. I was like, they instantly, like, that's all I needed to see. And I was like, they got it. But yeah, to go off supporting performance wise, dude, I gotta agree with you on Will Ferrell. The last time I laughed this hard with him in a comedy, I think was Anchorman 2. I can't really think of a recent comedy. Maybe the Lego Movie where he plays President Business, which is a similar role that he's playing here. But like in live action and everything, like, yeah, this is the funniest thing I've seen him in since, I think, Anchorman 2. That's not to say I haven't seen him in stuff since then that I did enjoy, but like, just doesn't come close. I just found him to be kind of annoying. No, dude, he had me cracking up through this whole movie. Kate McKinnon as well. She was perfect as Weird Barbie. Like, it just fits her personality from SNL to like play something like this as well. America, how you pronounce the name? Ferrera. Okay, cool. Thank you. As the human character that we basically spend probably the most time with, I thought she was great. She's given a monologue moment that I've seen some people say is a bit too hammered. Like, you know, they kind of like are hammering the point a bit too hard there. And I see where they're coming from. It's just, I've talked to, and I'm not trying to like gloat here with this comment, the amount of women I talked to after seeing this movie and the impact they felt from that moment made me realize, like, maybe I'm just not getting it because I'm a guy. Like, I understood it, I got it, but emotionally, the impact obviously wasn't directed at me. It was directed at them. And to see how it did come across to them, and just knowing the struggles of being a woman and everything, I was like, that was actually like a really good scene. I get why some people might be saying it's hammering the point a little bit too hard now. It's being too on the nose about the whole themes of the movie. But again, I thought it was a great scene. Just performances across the board. If I keep going, I'm going to name the whole goddamn cast list. There's just one more I want to add on, which is Michael Cera as Alan. I was so happy to see Michael Cera in this movie, man. The best deadpan delivery, like, actor of our generation that we grew up with from Superbad.
We got to see Scott Pilgrim for a scene. Yeah. We got to see Scott Pilgrim come back for like a moment.
Honestly, I was like, holy crap, he's still Scott Pilgrim deep down inside. Look at him go. Yeah, man, I'll leave it at performances. There's so much more I want to go into, but I want Dom to tap in before we go to intermission.
They did it. They did it. We're here now. They did it. Yeah, the hype was very scary, but they pulled it off. Feminism is such a difficult thing to broach, in film in particular, because, you know, with how our society is structured, women in the current state of things, women make up, you know, about half of the human population. And I understand as the genders, we explore that spectrum more, and we progress in that direction, whatever. But for as long as we've known it, you know, it's been such a wide ranging thing. And there's all kinds of women, just like there's all kinds of Barbies, that it's hard to really broach that topic concertedly, as opposed to the African American experience, which is a more narrow thing in comparison, the Asian American experience, or, you know, the Amazon, not Wonder Woman, but the like, you know what I'm talking about, like, the, you know, just these specific things.
Yeah.
With feminism, God, it's so intersectional, man. It's all over the place. So whenever, Joe, as you were saying, whenever a movie tries to tackle that, it can come off as ham-fisted.
Yeah.
And there are those brief scenes where it can feel like it's getting that way. But when you really put, and I'm sure there's going to be the comment sections on that YouTube clip when it gets uploaded is going to be, you know, a complete war zone. But if you really actually watch the movie and take everything as it is, this is an accomplishment in modern storytelling.
It is.
On this scale, the blockbuster of the summer. a national phenom, this a global phenom. This is an accomplishment, and I'm so glad that we got something that really was smart, really truly was clever, winks at the audience and earns it, and is able to utilize its cast so goddamn effectively. Kate McKinnon and Will Ferrell did have me a little nervous because they're really hit or miss in particularly more recent outings. McKinnon in particular, it seems like movie studios can't figure out what to do with her. Greta Gerwig saw Kate McKinnon and be like, I know exactly what to do with her. And it's not very different from what she normally does. You
It's
just have to put her in the right film
than usual.
Yeah.
It's true.
She's written better. It could even be said that Kate McKinnon hasn't been able to find the right vehicle for herself and to carry a movie. She really is the supporting actress, the comedic supporting actress, and even that it's been hit or miss depending on who's writing her, who's directing her. Here, it's absolutely perfect. Will Ferrell, absolutely perfect for me. Everyone here is dressed to the nines and playing 10.
Yeah.
And I am so happy that it like relieves my soul as a movie fan that we got the movie that we did. And it is perfection in the sense that in today's movie culture climate that we have this. I cannot think of a movie that is harder to attack from a anti-feminist standpoint than this film, because other feminism movies, which is you throw that around too much, whatever, but like other feminism movies, it's like, yeah, sure, Captain Marvel, kind of a blah film, but like we got to do this or that with it. Barbie, none of that. Mwah. You ain't got nothing. Every attempt at every attack, not a critique. Critiques are always warranted for anything, but any attack on this movie is just like, bro, you're just trying too hard. I know exactly who you are. If you are attacking it to that degree, and you know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you are because you chose to attack Barbie for the whole weekend rather than talk about Oppenheimer.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the beauty of counter programming. Yeah. There's something for you. There's something for you here in theaters as well, but you choose to bitch about the thing that's not for you. I just want to say one other thing, and that Pete, let's not get it twisted. The people that are bitching about Barbie, cough cough, Ben Shapiro. The people that are bitching about it, like, there's two things. Number one, they never wanted to like the movie.
Yeah,
they never wanted to like it. They wanted to see it as some part of some obscene culture war phenomenon. And number two, you know what the big problem is? And I don't want to give these people, these mouth breathers, much time and much analysis.
Neither do I.
But you know what's one thing I think, this underrated thing in America, or like this underrated problem in America now when it comes to like discourse and media and stuff like that, is that people just can't accept that everything doesn't have to be for everyone. Like if something isn't marketed towards you, you don't have to hate it. You don't have to hate it. Yeah. The option of just not caring about it, like a perfect example, like it's different when we're kids and like when we're like in middle school and all the girls like Twilight and we as guys like hate Twilight. That's different. You're in middle school. You know what I mean? It's like almost like a cliquey thing. If you're like in your mid to late 20s and older and that shit still bothers you, like that is like a toxic problem.
Yeah.
And it's like Minecraft that's an example for me. Minecraft, never played it, don't understand it, don't hate it because I don't know anything about it. That is my entirety of my opinion on Minecraft. Just because I don't understand it and it's not for me, I don't feel obligated to hate it. You know what I mean? Or like look at it or look at the people that like it in disgust. And that's what I think, like some of the discourse, the negative discourse on Barbie, not the actual critics who made, compelling points. I don't agree with them, but compelling points why they didn't like it. I'm talking about, who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Reddit users. I'm talking about the these armchair people on Twitter that are like bashing this movie. And I just thought about that over the week. I'm just like, that not everything has to be for you or catered to you. Like, I think it's as simple as that. I think that's an underrated thing when it comes to like American debates nowadays.
I'll say this, and then we can pass it back off to Dom to wrap up everything he's got to say, because I want to get my 2 cents on the whole thing. This whole thing about it being an attack on men, dude, learn to take a fucking joke, because the entire time the Kens were being made fun out of, like, for doing stuff in Barbie Land. I won't ruin why the stuff why, because the whole discovery of why the Kens take over is brilliant in my opinion. But like the stuff they were doing, like Ken literally wears a Metallica headband and a Metallica what's it called, waist thing. Oh my god,
belt.
No, it is a belt, but a fanny pack, Metallica fanny pack. And like the fact it's like, man, there's one joke in this movie, man. And I was like, fuck, that is me. It is when it's like, is this The Godfather? Oh my God, can we start it over? And he's like, certainly. And I will talk about the movie the entire way as we're watching
I love
it.
that scene.
I was like, yes, that is me to a T. And I laughed about it. It's just, it's not really attacking men. It's just making fun out of us. It's the same locker room fucking talk we give to women, but it's just on the big screen now. And you take it as an attack. Learn to fucking laugh about it. It's okay.
What man hasn't done the, you look really beautiful without your glasses?
Oh,
or some variation of that shit.
Bro,
that scene,
I thought of Wonder Woman 1984 when they did that to the cheetah character. I was just like,
oh, that scene, yeah.
And they didn't say it specifically, but I've totally done it with makeup. I'm like, oh, you look beautiful without makeup, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but what if she just wanted to wear makeup? Like, she's not doing it for you, asshole. Makeup's fun. But, like, and yeah, up and down, we could go into every joke and it would all hit. But like, also, yeah, if you're like feeling offended as a man about this movie, not just learn how to take a joke, learn how to sit through a movie and like learn the actual lesson at the end.
Yes,
because they directly address that. Like, yeah, way to go. You either weren't paying attention or you didn't see the movie.
Yes.
Like, I know who you are, because it's like they literally address this at the climax of the movie. Jesus Christ. I don't want to. We could counter.
I don't want to get more. I don't want to get more.
We could shadow box Reddit users all day, and it would be really fun. But let's be happy about this movie, and maybe get into some critiques after the break. Do you want to do that after the break?
No, keep going.
Sure.
Man.
The one thing I'll note before we cut to break, just a little thing I want to bring up too. I really like how they included Midge. That was the pregnant Barbie doll that was discontinued, I believe, in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, I believe. That was discontinued because, like, who wants a pregnant doll? That's obscene. Yeah. Did you guys catch who plays Midge?
No.
Emerald Fennell, the writer-director of Promising Young Woman.
Oh, shit.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, Emerald Fennell.
Wow.
That's funny.
Oscar-winning Emerald Fennell, too. Remember, she won the screenplay for Promising Young Woman. That's been my favorite factoid. Right. Yep. That's been my favorite factoid to tell people all week is that, that's Emerald. She doesn't get much in the movie, but it was cool to see her.
Can I just say, too, I loved how much this movie, Mattel was willing to put themselves out there and be like, yeah, we did that. Yeah. Like Sugar Daddy Ken. Yes, that's the other Ken, the other Barbies.
4 minutes. We have 4 minutes. And there was a New Yorker there's a New Yorker article about how Mattel is gonna like working on 40 movies. Most won't leave, pre-production, but they're gonna Marvelize the shit out of this.
Oh yeah.
And from a business standpoint, makes sense. For me, I'm kind of dreading it. But you know what?
Yeah.
One thing that Mattel does have in their stable for this plan that they have, the Mattel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, is that clearly they're willing to make fun of themselves.
Yeah,
because they actually go hard on themselves.
They do
a lot here, and I was actually impressed by it. Like, hey, you actually showed the Mattel board as being all men.
Yep.
I'm like, holy shit, Greta Gerwig got away with that.
And their fake feminism, their fake pro-feminism as a board and everything. Like, oh yeah, we hired
their
women.
Rainbow capitalism. Yeah,
we got gender neutral bathrooms out the wazoo.
I was really impressed by that. Either
the humility of that is something to, no pun intended, marvel at.
Yeah.
Either Gerwig like really did some sneaky shit on the previews, or they're just willing to take it. And of course, there will always be, an element of, well, Mattel is in charge of this product, and they are, paying out the wazoo, paying all these directors for it, so they hold the purse strings. But as long as if they don't regress on that for their future movies, which I'm rolling my eyes at, it's gonna be a time. I apparently Lena Dunham is gonna be doing the Polly Pocket movie, which is like, okay, problematic, but for the most part, this is a fantastic start to the Pink universe. We don't need the Dark universe; we got the Pink universe now.
Are you serious? Lena Dunham's during the
You know what? I saw a mutual friend of ours sent it in a tweet. I need to confirm it. So you know what? Don't hold my feet to the fire.
You're great. The no kids. We have Barbie at home version of this movie. Jesus,
I was like, holy shit!
I am excited, and this could be the Fast and Furious fan in me. Dude, I'm excited for that gritty Hot Wheels movie that they're going to do. I can't wait for that one.
If it's going to be like Speed Racer, like...
they said it's going to be like actual like grit, like they're going to take it seriously, and I think they're going for more of a Speed Racer approach with the visuals of it.
There better be a goddamn loop-de-loop in there.
Yeah.
Is there...
I'm not the biggest fan about Abrams directing it, but it's like, hey, you know what? It's Abrams actually doing something original, not taking a property and adapting it into like a sequel or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative reign for a Hot Wheels movie.
Yeah.
I'm not even dreading this Gran Turismo movie next month. I'm really not. Like, Neil Blomkamp, who like has had one of the weirdest director careers for like a guy who had his first hit with District 9. I see the time, Dom. Thank you. Yeah, Neil Blomkamp doing that Gran Turismo movie. It doesn't look like high art, but it might be my guilty pleasure of the year. Anyway, more to talk about Barbie coming up here after the break. We're also going to dive into the box office. This is part one of a two-part Barbenheimer special here on Sleepless with Steve. Be back in about 60 to 90 seconds after our Zoom-sponsored intermission. Don't go anywhere. Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve, back from our Zoom-sponsored intermission on this Wednesday evening, a hot Wednesday evening in the Midwest. My God, I really can't, as much as I hate the heat, I really can't complain. I think it's now like the 50th consecutive day that Miami is experiencing over 100-degree temperatures. Phoenix is so damn hot that if you fall on the asphalt, you get burned. I saw that on the news the other day. Phoenix is like 120 degrees. So it's miserable out here, but it could be a hell of a lot worse. But it is the summertime, and it's a great time to go to the theater, not just because there's air conditioning, but because there's 2 great movies out. We are talking about one of them, Barbie, part 1 of our Barbenheimer special here on Sleepless with Steve. Dom, I'm going to let you lead off the second half of the show right here, because you said you were even suggesting inviting in some critiques about Barbie. I'd be interested to hear those.
Yeah, it's all the feminism bullshit. It was really annoying, and
This movie's too woke.
a little too woke for me. No, also I just realized Malcolm X is a Ken in this movie. Ben Kingsley Aladier, he was Malcolm X in One Night in Miami.
Yeah.
That he was. Yeah, that he
And
was.
he's gonna be
Malcolm, you
Bob
got
Marley.
Malcolm X as Ken. Yeah. How did we feel about the pacing of the movie? How do we feel about it? I'm actually going to invite that. It's so difficult for me to put into words. It feels like it goes by a mile a minute, but at the same time, I don't know if you can change that. I'm going to open that up to actually a bit of a discussion. If that can even be put into words.
Steve, I'll let you go.
The pacing of the movie,
Yeah.
I thought the pacing was overall pretty good. I didn't have any major issues with it. I thought the movie kind of had this little bit of like freeform structure in a way that it was almost kind of like almost a little bit go with the flow. The pacing really didn't bother me. I do think that like going back to that like America Ferrera speech that she gives towards the end of the movie, I do think the end of the movie is a touch discombobulated in a way that it tries to that it tries to kind of invite a lot of different things. I think the America Ferrera speech, while very accurate in a lot of ways and I think very heartfelt, kind of stalls the fun of the movie for just a minute or two, and then you get that Ken number. You get that, like, you know, the musical number with all the Kens and stuff, which is really good, mind you. It almost becomes a little bit clip showish, a little bit vignette-ish in a way.
Okay, that's what I wanted to touch on. Is that yes.
But it rebounds, but I will say it sticks the landing without ruining it. It sticks the landing by a very, very beautiful extended cameo with Rhea Perlman.
Yeah.
It does stick that landing when it starts to get a little bit clippy, for lack of a better word.
That was my second thing, and I'll get into that just a little bit. But the first thing I wanted to say, and also, no, that was not the actual creator of Barbie. She's been dead since 2002.
I know. I knew a lot of people were going to think that was her.
Well, they even make a joke about it in the movie. It's one of my favorite jokes that Will Ferrell makes.
Yeah, I'm remembering it now. But yeah, the first half of this movie is like perfect in terms of pacing. I absolutely loved it. It was just balls to the wall in a directed kind of way, a shaped charge, if you will. Second half, it didn't falter, but that clip show was that's closer, much closer to what I was thinking, which was just kind of like slapdash. But something about it I just couldn't shake, but it's really hard to put into words, and I think that's it. It starts to feel like we're bouncing around, not like Family Guy where you're cutting away into random shit. That's the thing. That's a Family Guy critique. That's the critique when you say Family Guy clip show where it's or Family Guy cutaway where it's just random. It wasn't random, but it just felt like it started to feel more like television at that point. And I mean that derogatory in a kind of derogatory way, in a critiquing way. But it does come back around. Does it stick the landing, Steve? You said yes, and it is the Ruth Handler character. The Rhea Perlman played Ruth Handler, right? Ruth Handler?
Yes. Ruth Handler.
That is supposed to be like I don't want to say heart of the movie, but perhaps the consciousness of the movie.
Definitely the heart. I would say.
You think so? You think the heart? Okay.
I think yeah, or at least the external resonance, like the emotional resonance,
Mhm.
rather, not external, the emotional resonance of the story. Even though the movie does end with a joke, which I think is, while kind of maybe soft and a little fleeting, I think it's number one, a funny joke, and
Yeah.
number two, I think it brings it back to the lighthearted nature of this thing. Because I mean, if you really like analyze this movie, like in totality, like Barbie gets like progressive. Margot Robbie's character gets progressively sadder as the movie
Yeah.
starts to
Yeah.
progress. Like Ken's over here living his best life, and like Barbie's character gets like incrementally more existential and sad. Like, and I think that like ending it not only with Barbie and Ruth meeting and then the joke that they throw at the end after a little bit of buildup, I think that does like it does its part to kind of like entertain the existentialism that's within the movie, and also just also bring it back down a little bit with some lightheartedness.
Yeah, it's a layer joke too. That last joke, which I guess I don't want to spoil because it's the zinger, but I was worried at first that there was going to be like some Ruth Handler apologia, that Mattel was doing some whitewashing. But then Rhea Perlman says like, "Yeah, I got some IRS problems, but whatever." And it's like, okay, cool. We touched on that. We touched it. Okay, cool. And those are my two big things. I will say the first time we see Rhea Perlman's character, not the ending, not the climax, but the very, that took me out of it for a little bit, because I'm like, okay, you're clearly doing something here. This person's important. It may even be Ruth Handler because they don't actually say it. But something about that scene was a little off, probably because it didn't help that it was in the middle of a chase. That we just took this jerking pause to have that, and they kind of stretched it out longer than they needed to. I'm starting to get a little nitpicky here, but that's where we're at for a movie that I like a lot already. Is there anything else in terms of critiques that we wanted to hit on? Like, was Simu Liu too attractive, or no?
What say you, Joe?
So, pacing wise, no. I didn't feel any issues with the pacing. I'm even trying to think back right now. Did it have like my typical like thing I always hate about third acts most of the time, where it was like, oh god, we have to get to the climax now. We have to wrap everything up. In some ways, yes. Like they do find a way to resolve like what they're dealing with, but I think it's just so creative the way they resolve to do it. Again, it's such a funny ass time too. The entire time they're resolving how to distract the Kens. And while yes, the number is a bit clip showy, goddamn, is it a good number? Like I was absolutely like, man, the dance choreography, the sets in this movie are awesome. I've never seen so much pink in my life and actually just go, that is awesome. That rocks. That rules. I want to be there. Like, but yeah, man, in terms of critiques, I think the movie, this is my biggest critique with it. It's not even like a huge one. I'm not even like docking it for like that much. The movie introduces America Ferrera's daughter, Sasha. So Gloria's daughter, I should say, Sasha.
Yeah.
And the movie starts out with they're dealing with a dilemma where it's like she's losing touch with her daughter over time, and that it's what's causing her to have her existential crisis, which has a connection to Barbie in some sort of way. I won't ruin why, but I felt like that storyline about the mother and daughter got introduced and they never touched it again. Like
it's touched. Mm-hmm. It is touched, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, where are they gonna jam this in all of this, stuff? They do touch it, and it's a very subtle thing that doesn't feel resolved. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
It's when they're driving back into Barbie Land on their specific mission, and then they start singing together. I think that's supposed to be the tying of the loose thread, but you're right, it doesn't feel 100% to me.
Yeah, like because Sasha, played by Ariana Greenblatt, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. I could be wrong about that, but
I keep wanting to say Ariana Grande.
I almost said it, like every time I talked about it with my friends, I almost said Ariana Grande as well. She like comes, and I'm just starting to hate this trope too, but like the the daughter or son that is a bit too quippy to their parents, where it's just like, ain't no way, like you should be getting away with saying some of that stuff. And I was liking the idea they were bringing up with her, where it was like, oh, she's too progressive and everything. She, like, she, like, can't accept, like, some things that her mom is doing for her, or, like, what and whatnot. It was just like, oh, where are you going with this? And it's like, that character, like, is introduced that way. She has an issue with her mom. She's coming off as like a too much of a progressive person, and how that can be problematic in society. And I was like, holy shit, Barbie's touching on so many issues. And then they just don't do anything.
Yeah, she's kind of left in the dust.
She has a complete 180 of a character arc that just had no development whatsoever. I know she's not the focus of the movie, but it's like, there's that character. There's also like an intern character at Mattel that gets introduced. And they don't do anything with him other than his introduction. To where it was just like, I kind of wish they did a little bit more, especially with Shasha's character, or just not even have the Mattel intern character that like goes to Will Ferrell and like starts working with him. But man, shit.
Yeah, if you're gonna introduce someone, you gotta have, or that you don't have to have, but
at least have like a
feels
clever way
more
to have them leave the film or make a mark in the film. Like Alan's not a big character, but I felt like Alan made marks throughout the movie.
He's a memorable one.
Yeah, he's a memorable one. Same thing.
And he serves a purpose. He serves that purpose where he turns it to Scott Pilgrim, and starts beating on dudes. And it's not I'll even make that a critique, where it's not even a great arc for Al. I was actually hoping they would do more with him, because he's a great contrast to pretty much everyone.
Yeah. But even Will Ferrell's character, as small as he is, leaves a mark in that movie. He made me laugh. There's some good jabs at Mattel. Like they found ways to do something with that character. And it's like, oh man, are you really picking on that character? It's like, no, you don't understand. Because this movie did so much stuff that was excellent. That like something like that really just stuck out by the end of the movie for me.
People are saying like with the daughter, America Ferrera's daughter's like opening scene where she's talking to Barbie for the first time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, let me say that is very accurate. That was excellent. Yeah. Like, she calls Barbie a fascist, which is so accurate, so funny, and is a perfect like that is layered. Like that is a layered representation of Gen Z and even beyond the next gen after that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, they're angry that the world is crumbling around them with an existential crisis and climate change. Of course they're gonna lash out. And like they're also like in grade school. So like, they're gonna, with access to unlimited information that mankind has completely amassed in the form of the internet, of course they're gonna call people they don't like a fascist. I do that sometimes. Like,
you're either a fascist or a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the two.
And here's the thing: with the way the world is, 50% of the time they're actually going to be accurate. but the other 50%, it's really funny. So yeah. Very accurate, that the introduction, and the fact that they don't that's such a strong opening for that daughter that I was hoping, yes, I agree, they would do something a little more with it, because it's like, she's the child. She should technically be the emotional center of this film, and she's kind of not.
You know what I thought when the daughter kind of took a backseat to things? I'm like, I almost thought like Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, again, who co-wrote the movie too with her. I almost thought that they pulled off a really nice fleece with this movie, where it was like, they're making a Barbie movie, but spoiler, it's for the moms, not the kids.
Yeah.
It's more for the moms. Like, I thought that was... I guess if you look at it that way, I think this movie, I had several kids in my theater. This is, confirmation bias. I don't know how many kids are going to take this, but the kids that I was with in the theater, at least that I observed in the theater, really got into this. I mentioned in my review, even leaving the theater, I heard this little girl telling her guardian, could have been her mother, I think it was her mother probably, but she was telling her when we were leaving the theater, she was telling her mother that she wanted to see this movie 20 more times before school starts. And that the next time she wanted to bring her dad and her grandma and everything. So I think that like this, there is an element of this that plays well to kids, but it is intriguing that they did not further develop that daughter character like you maybe thought they would have.
Yeah. This is a cynical way to say this, but there probably has not been a better form of marketing for a brand than this entire effing movie. Like, what a comeback for Barbie.
Oh,
Because
dude, yeah.
Barbie kind of like was on the downtrend, which they addressed directly. This whole thing could be a manifest, like a new mission statement for Barbie. You could interpret it that way very cynically, and I would say you'd even be right. But goddamn, watching this movie, I had like women in their 50s, 60s next to me, and they were like, yeah, I did that with my Barbie. They were like saying that the whole time. It's like, yeah, that's the Barbie I played with. They're like, yeah. Especially the credits where they're going through Barbie's history,
Oh my
which is
God.
very well
Yeah,
done
I
montage.
love that.
I'm like this Barbie, the brand, has restated itself as a multi-generational icon for girls and for women. And yeah, this probably does mean more to historically mean more to the older folks, older women in this who are watching this than for the younger ones. Because the younger ones, they're just in it like, God damn, they so effective. The marketing and the cultural phenomenon that is this movie absolutely swept up girls and young women who probably never cared for Barbie in the first place. But the older ones, just reliving all those memories. Like the fact that the weird Barbie is a plot point for a thing that for boys, that's the equivalent of like blowing into the Nintendo cartridges to like get the dust out of there and make sure it works
Our
again.
equivalent is blowing up the Green Army Men.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because Nintendo should be universal. That should be universal. But yes,
or like
melting the Green
G.I.
Army Men.
Joes or something.
Yeah.
Sid from Toy Story. That was us. That was our weird Barbie. For women, their weird Barbie is weird Barbie, and like the fact that Greta Gerwig was able to make that a critical plot point and a character into a movie is a testament to incredible writing here.
Yeah,
like this is how, like, I'm not like, I will always rail on brands and corporations and whatever, and I'll always be down to like take a cynical view on this, but I'm not saying that you can't at all. And if you're gonna do it like this.
Yes.
Please, for dear God, you have to put in this much effort. And I cannot wait to shit on, and it seems like it might even come from Mattel with Polly Pocket, but I cannot wait for the imitators that are going to be like, shit, we got to get into this as well. Shit, we got to do this as well. And I cannot wait for the next
Bratz
toy brand.
movie part 2.
Yes, I cannot wait for the Bratz movie. Oh my God, that tries to copy
There was
this.
a Bratz movie in
was.
2007. I reviewed it. It sucked.
Yeah, it does.
Live action?
Yeah, live
yes,
action.
live action.
Oh.
God, we're like the only two that remember that damn thing, aren't we?
No, all my friends that are women remember it because they were Bratz girls, but they loved the shit out of this movie.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I think if you went into this movie looking forward to it, I think it's very hard to not like this movie. Maybe to be underwhelmed in some capacity, I think is definitely possible. But I also think that this movie does so much well and has so much going for it. It really is a fun time at the movies. I think it's got a good chance of making my top 10 as well.
Same.
I liked it that much. It might run the risk of playing to adults really well, but I do think there is still quite a bit here for kids to enjoy too. It's 3.5 out of 4 stars for me. I loved it. I had a great time at the theater. We'll go Joe, then Dom before we dive into some quick box office talk before the end of the show.
There were 2 scenes: America Ferrera's speech and the ending, which plays Billie Eilish's "What Was I Made For" song. Both times I felt something heavy in my chest. Like I was like, oh, this is actually, I know who this is meant for. Like women have told me this, and maybe it's the fact, we had a private screening, but all the girls in the theater were bawling their eyes out, especially at the ending. And it was actually like a really cool moment to sit there and just kind of witness that. I didn't feel that same way for obvious reasons, but it was very intriguing to see that. And despite the fact that like the movie didn't hit me the same way that it hit them emotionally, I still came out loving it just as much as they did, because it did so much that I love to see in filmmaking right. Dom hit on it with the writing here and just how creative you got with it, with a product like Barbie. I haven't felt this way about yeah, sure, it's a blatant commercial, but I haven't felt this way about like a movie with like, man, you really took a toy, a product, and you ran with it since like the Lego movie. There's been other stuff out there for sure. There has been. But like something that made me leave that theater and go, holy shit, I want to go see that like again immediately. I just hope, because I love the first Lego movie, and every film after I like progressively less. I was like, oh, the Batman movie, Lego Batman, that was good. Okay, Lego Ninjago kind of sucked. I really did not like that Lego movie part 2. So I'm hoping if Barbie does get a sequel, man, have Gerwig do it. Don't pass it off like what happened with the Lego movie, because it loses its charm fast. For me, man, this will be in my top 10. I doubt it will not exit it. It is high up there. Steve said when we reviewed Guardians, not all 4-star films are created equal. And dude, you're absolutely right about it, because this also is a 4-star film for me. But unlike Guardians, I mean, this thing is in the stars, the stratospheres of a 4-star movie. Like, Guardians is a 4-star movie as like a comic book Marvel movie. It's like I'm judging on the merits of that. It was a 4-star experience for me for that. But Barbie just busted out of the box literally as just a movie about the damn toy, and just exceeded every expectation I had for it, and even met some of them. Like, just it was so damn good. I can't wait to see Oppenheimer, because everybody's been telling me, man, if you love Barbie and you enjoy like what Gerwig did as a director and a creator, you're gonna love what Nolan has done with Oppenheimer. So I can't wait for next week, and I'm looking forward to going back to the theater again this weekend to see the second half of Barbenheimer, basically.
Dom, send us home on Barbie, at least the movie itself.
There are movies that have the right message, but they don't do very well in theaters, and they suck. There are movies that are great, but they have the wrong message, and no one watches them. And then there are movies that everyone watches, but God, that movie should never have been made, because it is horrible for people, and it is horrible for anyone's artistic sense. Barbie hits that trifecta. It really does. And I really am. I'm exhausted in my personal life, but I am so jubilant for movies right now, because like this is a double whammy. Barbenheimer is a double whammy that is going to go in the record books, certainly from marketer school textbooks. And the message I hope people take away for this phenomenon, the movie, you can write dissertations on that, but for this phenomenon, Barbenheimer, the lesson you need to take away is that if you give the right creative people the right amount of trust and power to do what they need to do to get done, you can make money and make a good product that also has the right message. So pay your goddamn writers and actors more, and don't go back to AI. Don't go to AI. I am absolutely tying it to there. Because this movie, these two movies are just a testament to what you're going to lose.
Yes.
If we go down that route.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Barbenheimer, I'm sorry, I can't even do it anymore. Barbie, easily 4 out of 4 movie for me.
Really well done, guys. We're going to segue a little bit into Sleepless OT and talk about the box office, because we really can't not talk about this. This story's not going away in terms of Barbie and Oppenheimer dominating the film world right now. And don't look now, but this weekend at the movies, if you take the cumulative box office numbers, it is the fourth largest box office in recorded history. And it's also worth noting that this is the fourth largest cumulative weekend box office. The previous largest weekends were all dominated by Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. So to have this in there as number 4 is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Barbie, the average, or the adjusted is what I'm trying to say. The adjusted totals have come out now for the weekend. Barbie in America grossed $162 million this weekend.
It's
followed.
I was gonna say it's crossed over 200 as of now, like today.
In America now. For the weekend, it's Oppenheimer is at 82.4 million. This is just the Friday to Sunday cume. Barbie right now worldwide sits just under $500 million with a B dollars.
Yep.
And it's got a good chance, I think, of making $1 billion.
I hope it does.
I think if not, it's going to come damn close, like 800, 900 million. I think that it might be the highest grossing movie directed by a woman, which is another feat in itself too.
But I don't know. You're saying all this stuff, but Joe, it's gonna drop off in its second weekend, right, Joe?
What?
Right, Joe? It's going to drop off.
Well, oh wait, you saw my comment on Facebook, didn't you? Unless wait, I forgot.
I saw that bet, and I'm like, "What a dumbass! You just lost some money right there."
Oh, dude, man, I can't wait to hell. He's not watching this show, but I hope he finds this clip somehow with him just probably searching Barbie on YouTube all day. I can't wait to hand you that L, motherfucker.
It's gonna wind up being number one again next weekend. I'll tell you that much. Because Haunted
Mansion ain't making shit this weekend, dude.
The Haunted Mansion, I think, will do decent. I think it will, box office wise, but it's not gonna pull. It's not gonna pull in for Barbie. It's not gonna beat Barbie.
Imagine being on the press team for the Haunted Mansion. God bless those people in the trenches.
They probably just dropped all their folders. Like, I give up.
Yeah. I saw one review that said the simultaneous funniest and scariest part of the movie is the opening credits when it says "and Jared Leto as the Hatbox Ghost."
But why do we keep investing in that, man?
I'm reviewing it this weekend. Catherine and I are seeing it, so I'm oddly excited for it. Brett Arnold had a good line about it too. He said that like this is the gritty reboot of Haunted Mansion. They dropped "the" in the title. He's like the next one in 20 years will just be called Mansion. But moreover though, let's talk about some good movies though. At least movies we know that are good. Barbie and Oppenheimer though. Obviously killing it right here. The president of Warner Brothers, Jeff Goldstein, said, "We have a pink unicorn here. We thought it would be 75 million for the opening weekend. Nobody saw 155 million coming. This doll has long legs." God bless the press secretary for Jeff Goldstein over here, who has a sense of humor. The movies are both getting stellar reviews, which is awesome to see too. And there's another quote I'll bring up. Jake Coyle of the Associated Press was talking about how, optimistically speaking, and it's ironic that this is coming out during the writer's strike and the actor's strike, is that Jake Coyle said that the success of both of these movies might point to audiences wanting more originality in films following, I like this term he had, flopbusters, like The Flash and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That might be wishful thinking. Here. But you know who, if I'm this person, who I'm pissed? If I'm Tom Cruise, I am pissed.
Yeah, man.
Paramount hung Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning out to friggin' dry. That, like, I can't believe, I said it even a couple of months ago, I think, on this show, I can't believe they're keeping that release date. They're going to lose all the IMAX theaters to Nolan the following week. I don't know why the hell they tried to gamble. It lost 64% of its revenue this week.
All the Dolby screenings transferred over to Barbie. The only time you can see Mission Impossible in IMAX or in Dolby is if you go like at noon at an AMC. Dude, I would be pissed too, because again, that was a great movie. I went to go see it opening night and everything.
Very well reviewed.
I was like, dude, this is such a good movie. Like, and again, it's like another thing, like, Christopher McQuarrie and Cruise, like, really showing their craft of, like, making blockbusters with great stunts, amazing action and everything. And they should have came out, honestly. I think that movie would have done perfect if it came out the week. I would have taken out Transformers if I was Paramount. Take out Transformers, put Mission Impossible in that weekend. It would have made its money, because in the following weekend you had a couple comedy movies with No Hard Feelings, and then The Flash. And with how bad The Flash flopped, you would have been dominating the rest of July along with Spider-Verse.
There's only 3 movies presently in the top 10 that have not grossed over $100 million yet. That's Oppenheimer, which it'll soon do that. Mm-hmm. There's Insidious, The Red Door, which is somewhat remarkably made $71 million. And then No Hard Feelings, which has made cumulatively $49 million, which isn't a bad haul. Obviously, the other outlier here that nobody saw coming was Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
Just Sound of Freedom is that's almost as fascinating of a marketing story to me as Barbie, because that's sitting at 124 total $1 million. That's one of the biggest surprise. That's probably the singular biggest surprise of the summer.
That is an amazing comparison that I'm just starting to think about. I could not think of a darker take on, could not think of a darker like marketing approach, or like a darker and just almost insidious approach to like, women and girls, because ultimately what Sound of Freedom is doing isn't really helping anyone, except people's fear and sense of egos. But that's for another discussion, probably to have off air. But damn, I'm just glad.
I have devoured so many articles about that movie's box office performance. I've read like 7 or 8. No, I'm genuinely interested. I think Angel Studio is fascinating. It's fascinating. Whatever you want to think about the movies and everything, like whatever, but it's fascinating from a business standpoint.
The whole pay it forward thing and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
It really is, actually.
I think it's really fascinating. But
from a business standpoint, absolutely. From a like from the phenomenon of why people are watching it, I think it's. Yeah, I think it's tapping into like conservatives' fear of, or like sense of hopelessness, and just like their sense of not being able to do anything. So they're just gonna feel good about watching a movie about liberating kidnapped child traffickers without actually doing anything about it. It's the Coney 2012. Yeah. It's the Coney 2012 of
oh god, I haven't heard that movies. In a
while. Anyways, Barbie.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I was gonna say yes, Barbie. Yes, Barbie. But I'll say this, and then we can. I was gonna say I'll pass it off to either you or Joe or Dom for final thoughts. I'll add this though too. Like the jubilation I had as a moviegoer this weekend was truly off the charts. Like I almost wanted to cheer like my team won the Super Bowl after when the credits rolled for Oppenheimer, and Barbie, because this really felt like just a tremendous landmark weekend for movie going for movie fans, and it's unbelievable in a lot of ways that something like this happened. Again, Oppenheimer is a 3-hour R-rated biopic, and it made $80 million up against a movie that has now crossed $200 million in less than a week.
Did it beat the Joker's opening weekend box office?
I don't
like Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yeah.
I don't think it did. Joker had 93 million in the U.S.
Okay, but
Joker was also shorter. Joker was also shorter, so it had more showings.
Joker is also Barbie for incels, so keep that in mind.
But at any rate, I'll pass it off to you, Joe, if you want to final thoughts on the box office roundup
5
for
minutes
Barbie
here, dude. I'll try to go as quick as possible.
You're good,
dude. I was just happy. When I pulled up to my AMC and that parking lot was filled, I was like, yes. It felt like finally a blockbuster weekend that is worthy to go to the theater. Finally something that's bringing people out. Because, look, at the end of the day, is Hollywood going to learn the right lessons here? Probably not. But hopefully somebody will. Hopefully a studio will. Hopefully a studio will backpedal and go, wait, maybe we need writers and directors and actors to do this kind of stuff, because I'm gonna tell you right fucking now, ain't no way ChatGPT would have made either one of these movies, dude. I was so happy about seeing everything this weekend, man. I am so happy about Barbie breaking the record that was set by The Dark Knight for 15 years. The best box office revenue on a Monday was beaten today. Oh yeah, I should say was beaten on Monday by Barbie, and The Dark Knight was the movie that held that record for the longest time for 15 years. And it took fucking Barbie to do it. Not Avengers, not Star Wars, Barbie. That's insane to me. A comic book movie as big as Batman wasn't beaten by another Batman movie, another comic book movie, Barbie. It just shows, dude, putting that much effort into a movie like Barbie, something that you could just look at and be like, we can just easily make this as a cash grab. And you did that, really shows how much box office revenue you can really do. That's all I got to say. I mean, other than that, I piggyback off of everything Steve was saying.
Really fun show today, guys. I thank you for being a part of it. I'm glad all three of us were a part of it. And the fun keeps on going next week with Barbenheimer Part 2 because we are tackling Oppenheimer. I almost
we're probably going
wonder...
to talk about the box office again next week.
Probably in some ways, yeah. I almost wonder, though, with that movie being as long as it is, I almost wonder if that'll just, barring any breaking news, I wonder if that'll just be the star of the show next week.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there's going to be a ton to chew on, and Dom is going to bring us some very good historical anecdotes. I know you are. I was watching.
I'm so trying to restrain myself because that is World War II history, and like
you went off about Amsterdam. You went off about Amsterdam. I was watching this movie thinking, like, man, this is Dom's wetness dream.
Dude, right honestly though, this weekend made me just go, dude, I can't wait for Dom's PowerPoint on his top 5 best movies at the end of the year.
We should do a 3-hour episode, just to mirror Nolan.
Hold on a minute.
I got a life. Hey, it was great to chat with you guys. Good to have the gang back together, and no better movie to have them back together than with Barbie. We'll be back same time, same place next week, 6:30 Central Time on YouTube. Barbenheimer Special Part 2 on Sleepless with Steve, reviewing Oppenheimer. For Dominic Guanzon, Joe Viso, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.